You can listen to this practice wherever you find yourself today. You can be sitting down or laying down or even stretching and doing things if that's what you got to do. And hopefully wherever you're at when you listen, this will still be helpful to you in some way. So if you would like to listen to this in a still position, you can feel free to take all the time you need to arrive there. And just allow yourself to fidget, adjust, stretch, or move in any ways that feel good in your bones, muscles, joints. And just doing your best to not think about these movements at all, but more letting your body move you in the ways that intuitively feel good. And just kind of exploring your range of motion at this time of day. Making note of any areas that maybe are hurting a little bit or any areas that feel extra good. Just kind of taking a mental inventory of how you're physically feeling right now. And if what feels best to you at any time is stillness, then honoring that need for stillness whenever that feels like what you need. But just feeling that the spine is nice and straight in whatever position you've chosen. And if you're in a space where you feel safe and would like to, you can allow the eyes to gently close at any time if they aren't already. Mark your arrival into your practice today and into your body today with a full, intentional cleansing breath. As you take a long and slow inhale in through the nose and just watch yourself fill up to every corner and edge of you as you just hold that for a moment once you're full, to really just experience that sense of fullness. And without straining as you need to, slowly let all of that go. Again, through the nose, exhaling bit by bit. And just gently pulling the navel toward the spine at the bottom of your exhale to push that last bit of stagnant air out of you. As you again pause for a moment to now experience that sense of emptiness. As you allow your next breath to come as it's needed. And so you can breathe just like this for as many rounds as feels good and helpful for you. Just simply exaggerating the 4 parts of your breath. So the inhale, the pause at the top of the inhale, followed by the exhale, and that pause at the bottom of your exhale. And not worrying about the actual length of your inhales, exhales, and pauses, but just letting them be exaggerated, whatever that means for you today. So even once you think you're full of air, seeing if you can just take one more sip of air, get a little bit fuller. And when you naturally want to exhale, seeing if you can pause for just an extra moment, being a little bit more intentional with these 4 parts of your breath. And again, exhaling more fully than you would normally, and pausing for a moment longer. And we are consciously slowing down the process of our breath, and therefore slowing down our awareness, communicating to our nervous system that now is a time to slow down and to release. And so you can breathe just like this for as many rounds as feels good and helpful for you. And at any time, if you haven't already, you can release this guidance over your breath altogether and allow yourself to step back and up in the mind into the role of the observer or the witness. And seeing if you can shift your awareness to simply watching your body breathe you, rather than having any direct influence over the rhythm or depth of your breath. But switching from that voluntary control over the breath to now observing the involuntary or automatic process of the breath. As you remember that your body does breathe all on its own, even when you are in a deep sleep. Remembering how the breath is our one bodily function that can be either voluntary or automatic. And also knowing that some days this feels very straightforward to do, to be able to watch your body breathing without having any impact on the breath itself. And other days this feels nearly impossible, so it is perfectly okay wherever you are today. But even if it's just for a split second, seeing if you can just simply allow your body to breathe you. And feeling that same energy that you might feel if you are laying on the beach and just watching the waves roll up along the shoreline. And how you don't try to change anything about the waves, the size or speed of them, but you simply watch as they come and go. And feeling a deep sense of trust with your own body and your own anatomy. Knowing that even when you are deep in sleep, every single thing in your body functions perfectly to keep you alive. And so there is absolutely nothing that you need to be doing right now. This is not a doing or thinking process, but this is a process of listening, observing, feeling. And making note of how the mind is today. Maybe the mind is rather active and trying to pull you to the past or thinking about anything at all before this moment. Or maybe your mind is trying to be productive and multitask and plan for the day or week ahead. And just know that the moment you notice the mind is wandering, just that alone automatically brings you back to the present, to that role of the observer. And the goal of this practice is not to completely quiet our minds or to make our minds stop thinking. But this practice is about being present with yourself exactly how you are right now, whatever that means. Whether you are in pain right now or feeling wonderful and blissful. This practice is simply about showing up for yourself exactly as you already are. And releasing that extra layer of resistance to the way that we are. And so if the mind is active, it can be a lot more simple and straightforward for us to, instead of telling our minds to stop thinking, to bring our awareness to the physical instead. The things that we are physically feeling and our five senses are things that will only ever exist in this exact moment. And they can be incredibly helpful anchors to bring us back to this moment when we find ourselves wrapped up in the world of thoughts. And so instead of telling our minds to stop thinking of something specific or to stop thinking, period, we can shift our awareness into the muscles in our body and seeing if there's any other places where we can further release tension. Starting with all the muscles in the face. First, just remembering all of the tiny muscles that exist in your face that create every expression you've ever made. And starting by allowing your jaw to just hang into place. Allowing your lips to be soft and your tongue to release from the roof of your mouth. And letting that softness now in your mouth naturally release any more tension in your chin. Releasing tension in the nostrils as well. And feeling how that naturally spreads outward and upward as the cheeks release a bit further. The upper jaw and the ears even. All those tiny little muscles along your lash line that scrunch up when you squint, even feeling those soften as the corners of your eyes just get a little bit wider simply by this release of tension. Feeling all the muscles in your brow bone release as the hairline softens back and you allow the forehead to be wide and deep. And maybe almost feeling a sense that the muscles all across the face are just hanging off of the bones slightly, ungripping from the bones, and releasing back into the support of your skin. Again, just feeling that sense of trust with your own anatomy and knowing on a deep level that when you let go, everything will be held exactly where it needs to be. And you do not need to hold yourself in any specific way. You do not need to make yourself any smaller or bigger than you are. But now is a time where you can allow yourself to be exactly as you are. And allow all the muscles across your pelvic floor and your glutes all to soften into that surface that is beneath you. As you feel the pelvic floor lengthen and widen. Feeling a sense of release of all the muscles down the legs. Almost like they're rolling off of the bones. And feeling a deep sense of trust and support with the earth that is beneath you. And with the force of gravity all around you. And knowing, again, on a deep level, that when you let go, you will not float away and you will not be crushed, but you will be held close to this earth exactly where you're meant to be. Remembering a time where you exhaled into a hug of someone or with someone who you love deeply. Maybe even an animal. Or just that feeling where you exhale fully, and even if it's just for a moment, you allow yourself to be held, to be loved and supported. And seeing if you can feel that same sense with the earth that is beneath you and with the hug that is gravity all around you. And allow yourself to be held, loved, and supported. Knowing that you are all of these things on a deep, deep level, and these are not things that people can take away from us. And at the same time, as you know this deep truth, there may in fact be many layers of fear stacked on top of it. Or maybe some real life circumstances that don't fully support your safety or your love. And you can allow these things to be there too. You do not need to push any of those uncomfortable things away. But you can allow those seeds to be planted within you. And reminding yourself that there will always be a period of time between when we recognize we need to make a change and when we actually have the strength, the power, and the resources to make those changes. And so if there is any aspect of your life that does not feel safe, does not feel like it supports your best self or your deepest sense of love, you can allow those things, allow those reminders or seeds to be there, and know and trust that you do have the power to act in the ways that better support your safety as you move forward in this life. And knowing that doing the things that best support you and your deepest sense of love and safety will always be what's best for the people around us as well. And it is not a selfish thing. In fact, by acting in the ways that reflect a deep sense of love for yourself, or just the love that is already there within you, will automatically awaken that in the people around us and allow them to do the same, or remind them that that is an option they have as well. And we cannot save anyone else in this life, but we can act in the ways that almost save ourselves, and just trust and allow that to be an inspiration, almost leading by example. And feeling a sense of maybe acceptance with where you are in your life right now, even if where you're at is not where you want to be. Remembering that accepting and acceptance does not mean that you like it or agree with it or want it to be this way. but it simply means that you acknowledge reality. You acknowledge where you are in your life journey right now. And so you can accept where you are right now and at the same time have aspirations to be somewhere different. And you can allow the fears and the darker parts of life to exist around you and within you. And at the same time, not allow your actions to be guided from those fears, but rather let your actions be guided by love and trust with yourself and the world. And maybe you're in a place right now where you don't fully know what you want or where you want to go. Maybe you know that you don't want to be where you are, but you don't have a clear vision of where you'd like to be. And just know that that is completely normal and just another part of being a human. And at the same time, there are things we can do and questions we can ask ourselves that may awaken that deep knowing that is within all of us of what our life path is and where we deeply and truly see ourselves in the future. And so you can just let all of your awareness funnel now into your heart. And really tune in and sync your awareness up with this unique rhythm that is beating within your chest. This steady background beat that has been the beat behind every single thing you've done in your life. And allow your body to soften a little bit more beneath this steady beat. And remind yourself how this heart is your direct line of connection to whatever source allows our hearts to beat. This heart is your direct line of connection to the source of all life and all love. And so, allowing your body to continue to soften and allowing yourself to listen to whatever things come up from within you. And listen to the following words that are written by Brianna Wiest. But just allow these words to settle and trust that anything that arises within you is meant to come up, and just allow yourself to continue to feel and soften and take with you anything that feels helpful. So, what is one small, inconsequential thing that I already know is a yes? Maybe the way you take your coffee in the morning. One small, tiny part of your daily routine. Your favorite shirt, a person you know you love. When you're trying to reconnect to your internal navigation system, it's hard to start with the overarching, large-scale questions because it's often complex and comes imbued and heavy with expectation and unconscious belief systems. So start small. Start where it doesn't matter. Just remember what yes feels like in the first place. What is my fear trying to protect? Fear shields where interest lies. Fear is the unconscious way of expressing not what we don't want, but how much we want to keep what we do want safe. When we don't know what we want, we can look to what we fear to guide us to what's important. You're afraid of rejection because connection is your desire. You're afraid of failure because validation is your desire. You're afraid of change because consistency is your desire. Let fear show you the opposite value that you want to rebuild your life and comfort zone around. What opportunities do I have right now that I might not have again? If you could imagine this moment in your life from the perspective of yourself 10 plus years down the line, what opportunities would you be able to identify then that you might not be able to see clearly in this moment? What if you imagined it from the perspective of yourself 10 plus years in the past? What opportunities were you waiting or hoping for that are finally in front of you now? When you don't know what you want, consider the fuller context of what your future or past selves would want for you. What's most notable to me about other people's lives? What we find beautiful about someone else is often a facet of our own beauty we cannot see. What we dislike about someone else's choices very often contains within it elements or traces of the disassociated aspects of things we are also doing but don't realize. What we find inspiring about someone else's life is often not because what they have done is so extraordinary, but because what they are doing seems within reach. If we don't avoid self-evaluation, people can act as mirrors for the pieces of ourselves we do not fully see. What makes my body subtly contract and shrink, and what makes it open and expand? Where the brain can overlay narratives of what is right and wrong, the body has a greater, deeper, and fuller wisdom. The brain can lie to us, but the body cannot. Where our conscious minds fail us, our bodies often step in and intervene. If you can start to get connected to your body's subtle responses, where the quote second brain in your gut is really speaking to you through expansion or contraction, you will find that there is truly a voice within you that does not use words, one that is profoundly connected to the truth. What and who brings me closer to the person I truly want to be? The things that are really in alignment for you are the ones that help support and foster a genuine sense of self-actualization. They bring you closer to the person you want to be and not further away. Do you leave that hangout feeling inspired or annoyed? Does that commitment feel worth the sacrifice? Does it give you back in fulfillment more than it takes in dedication and effort? Do you feel like a more whole person for having devoted yourself to it? Instead of what will this do for me, think in terms of who will this make me in the end. And finally, this is the last slide. In the simplest terms, what have I always really wanted out of life? Our simplest wants are often closest to our truest ones. We overshoot. We grab pieces of the lives we think would be aspirational and worth sharing about. We think that if what we want is not extraordinary by some measure, it's not worthwhile. But it's the same mindset that keeps us from the little things that warm our hearts, that bring us the most meaning, that compose a life most fully and beautifully lived. When we think we need to go wider, we often need to reach deeper. So just take the next few moments to really allow all of these words you've heard today to settle. Imagining as if every single word was a little speck of glitter within a snow globe. And now is the time where we set the snow globe down and allow the air to clear and everything to settle. And reminding yourself that if you heard anything today that really resonated with you, struck a chord with you, or felt helpful in some way, just trusting that that feeling can sometimes come when we hear on the outside what a part of us, a deep part of us, already knows to be true on the inside. And so allowing those deep truths to be enhanced within you, so you feel a little bit more confidence to act on your own intuition. Trusting that you already know exactly what it is you need to do, if you need to do anything at all. And there is not one person in this world who can teach you more about yourself, about your passions and your life journey than what quiet time with yourself can teach you. And so never give that power away to anyone else. And if you ever come across someone who tries to convince you that they know you better than you know you, or they know what's best for you better than what you know, you can let that be a giant red flag and a cue for you to turn your attention back inward and fuel that connection you have with yourself, that confidence with yourself and your own intuition, your own inner sense of knowing, so that you never feel the need to give that power away. And you can reclaim any of that power that you have given away. We will all come across great teachers in our lives who will remind us of things and show us the way in certain aspects. But no teacher should ever try to convince you that they know you better, or that their word is the end-all be-all, or that they are needed for your connection to spirit or source or whatever you believe in. You do not need any sort of translator. You have a direct connection to all of that through your own body, through your own heart. Simply because you are life. You are an extension of the source of all life, and nothing will ever take that away. We will all go through times where we forget why we're here or what we need to do or where we're going and feel lost and disconnected. But that is just a reminder that we're human, and we will all go through phases where we feel that way. But we will also all go through phases where we remember and we realign and continue on our journey. And being off of the path or feeling like we're off of the path is a part of the path itself. We often need to wander away from our path in order to find it again. So if it feels like something you would like to do, you can just let your hands find each other in a prayer position toward heart center. And just feel that contact of your palms and fingers to one another. And allow your heart to lift toward your thumbs as your thumbs press back toward your heart. As you once again feel all of this power that is generated through you. And taking a final deep and full breath into the body, filling up to every corner and edge of you. And as you exhale, letting go of anything you're ready to let go of, as you allow the head to gently bow. Taking this moment to bow to the source of energy that allows all of our hearts to beat, whatever you believe that to be. Bowing to everyone else in this space who has listened and completed this practice right alongside you. And finally, bowing to yourself for choosing to show up today and for taking the time out of your busy life for this pure act of self-love and self-care. And may this act continue to heal you through the rest of your days and nights. And may you bring the same love and understanding to everything you do and to everyone that you see. Thank you.